Welcome to another episode of Tales from the Tables with your host, Rob Bradley,
John Charles Ciccarelli,
James Burrows,
and Damien Hallwood.
Oh my god, we're a man down! We're a man down!
No, Damien!
Someone call the cleric! Quick!
Get him!
Oh no, he's down to 0 hit points. Damien's gone. Damien's gone.
And none of us are healers.
We did that again. Why do we all pick fighters, guys? Why are we all human fighters named Bob again?
Yeah, exactly. Why is that?
Have you seen? I saw on Baldur's Gate. There's a squad of, I think, halfling barbarians. Just 4 halfling barbarians. Just they've got their own TikTok. It's great.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Did you see the one where someone tried to beat the game as a cat? Like,
no,
it's a druid in wild shape, but almost as much as possible, as much as can possibly be played, they were a cat. And there's a whole YouTube stream of it. Yeah, it's actually
pretty cool.
It's highly accomplishable if you're smart about it, right? Like if you know how to exploit certain things, get your teammates to do the work for you, sneak around entrances, that kind of thing. Like most of the fights you can avoid, which is obviously what this person is doing as a cat.
Yeah,
and then it's fun. It's fascinating. They get really far. I don't know. I think they might have beaten it.
I tried to play that at the weekend. I tried to play it. I just kept getting my ass handed to me, and then I just launched my Steam Deck across the sofa. I was like, oh, God damn it! And I just beat that fucking witch.
Rob, I'm gonna come over your house in April, and I'm just gonna beat the hag for you. You're gonna log back in one random day, and she's gonna be dead, and you'll be like, "Oh, great, I can move on."
Honestly, that hag is the bane of my life. I'm like literally just every time I turn on the stage, she's like, and I'm just like, oh God.
Come here, Petal. Come on, Ruby.
Like, shut up. And like just to spite her, I just turn off my Steam Deck. Like, turn it off. I'm going to turn you off.
You can't. You
can't call me Petal now. But then later on, Rob's lying in bed, and you just hear, "Oh, Petal, what's the matter? Are you having trouble brewing your coffee?"
Fucking bitch. I hate her guts.
Now we know how Rob's triggered.
I hate her guts.
If you've given up on Baldur's Gate again for a bit, get Helldivers 2 and come play with me and one of my D&D players, Luke.
Helldivers 2.
It's sick. It's essentially
I've been watching the videos.
It's essentially Starship Troopers and Terminator Judgment Day rolled into one.
Oh wow, okay, cool.
Because of the robots now, right?
Yeah, because you've got a robot faction, which essentially are Terminators and sort of also the Imperial Guard tanks from Warhammer. That you're fighting on one side, and then you've got the aliens from Starship Troopers, like the bugs, on the other side of the galaxy that you're
that one looks like fun. Honestly, Rob, it looks like you would really enjoy this because from I haven't played it, but from what I understand, and James, you can corroborate. Like you drop in, you're basically ODSTs, right? You're dropped in from orbit immediately. You form a squad, so it's all cooperative squad based. It's like an MMO.
It's PvE and sort of MMO-ish. So the galaxy's persistent. And you've got missions from high command, and there's planets that the community is trying to take over, and then there'll be events where enemies will push into your planets and take them. You've got to defend those. And it's a 4-player.
It's about cooperation with your squad. You have to coordinate very well. I've got a couple of people trying to recruit me, and they're like, "JC, you need to play. You need to get in my squad." I'm like, "Okay." Yeah. And it's apparently only 40, I think, right? It's not even like a full.
It's 35 in the UK. Of
course it is in the UK.
I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with these sorts of games because it's a bit of a story for you. When my brother and I were acting in London, my brother went to drama school and became a professional actor. When he moved to London to look for work, he got himself a pretty good agent. And the agent was like, "Do you have any special skills?" And he was like, "Well, I've got an identical twin brother." And I got roped into these ridiculous acting jobs. And there's a video of us on YouTube doing an egg card advert, and it's a very ridiculous advert. But anyway, we both got paid £8,000 each for this advert, right? Wow. And at the time, I was 28 years old, and I thought, great, I could quit my job and just live off £8,000 for the next couple of months and just be carefree and love it. So I did that. bought myself a really like banging PC and just lived in my room for God knows how long. I played Battlefield Bad Company 2 every
Oh yeah.
day for
Yeah, that was a good one.
hours upon hours upon hours, my right foot has never recovered because what I used to do is I used to sit on my right foot. I used to have it
Oh, I do that. I
tucked
still
under
do
my
that.
chair
Yeah.
and sit on it, and I've given myself nerve damage. And like
Oh,
do you remember the story I told you in the last podcast about us being in Las Vegas? Well,
Yeah, yeah.
we went to Las Vegas at the end of like literally just before like the last like £1,000 I had left from this
with a
money
bum foot,
was what we went to Vegas with as our
right?
With your
spending
club
money, my
foot.
brother and I, with my club foot. Which was like, and my foot was like
No,
in agony the whole time I was in
Rob.
Vegas and LA, and I was like,
Oh
So,
no.
so I've got, so I get, it's like the problem I've got with these games. I get so addicted to them because
Yeah, it's easy.
I love running around, and I get so like I become a right arsehole because I get so angry about being killed all the time. And I know it's some spotty little 11-year-old that's running around with a gun that's like, stolen his dad's credit card and maxed out all his guns and all this kind of
Yep.
shit. And I'm
Yep.
just getting mowed down by him. And he's got like some like crazy FPS of like 1,000 FPS on his
Yeah,
computer.
he's
So
seeing
he can like,
what
see
you're
me
doing.
within 2 minutes. Like,
Right.
bam!
This
And like,
He's seeing you, what you're
vanish.
doing before you're doing it. His FPS is
Yeah.
so good. Yeah.
this is
Hate
probably
those
a bit
guys.
too dangerous, Emerald, because it's PvE. It's you and three teammates against AI.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be horrendous. I'd be horrendous. I
So
heard that was
it's
Deep Rock Galactic with the dwarfs in space. Have you played that?
yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
heard it's really good.
It's
I
really
haven't played.
good.
Yeah.
I'm such a weirdo. I started playing it, loved it, and then
Yeah.
immediately stopped playing it because I loved it so much.
Ah,
I was like, if I play
this is too much. This is too
I will
good.
too
ruin my
much,
life.
Right.
my life will be over. Rolldark will fall to an absolute crumble. None of you guys will get paid on Mondays. They're like, Rob, where's my invoice? I'll be like, what? Sorry,
Who's James? What is that? Who's JC?
I'll be like, who the hell are these guys that keep annoying me? It's like, oh, they're the DMs for Rolldark.
No,
Shit, I probably
gosh.
should pay them.
That is
I mean,
hilarious.
just one
Yeah.
more mission. I'll get around to it.
Listen, I hear you. Video game addiction is a real thing, and like
Oh,
there are
yeah,
some
big
people
time.
that just can't ever move. Even me with World of Warcraft, when I was playing early on, I would spend days at the PC. Like I'd get up and I'd try and have a social life a little bit, but it was hours upon hours of me just at the computer, and I eventually realized that was very unhealthy. But this was college days. I definitely missed a few classes.
This is definitely why D&D
yeah.
is so. Why D&D is so good is because once you finish playing it, you can't really play it again until everyone else is like,
Yep.
"Hey, Bob, let's look at
Great.
together." So you're just like, "Come on, I need to play D&D again. Come on, why can't these people just be with me all the time so I can play D&D?" Just like going mad. But I always find that whenever I play D&D for like a good, like, I don't know, if I do like a good 6-hour game or whatever, I get home and I'm just like, I just want to read the books. I'm just like it really stays with me.
I
it
always
really
need like
does.
a bit of downtime after a D&D game, so quite often we'll finish like games at 11 o'clock at night, and then I'm there for like another couple of hours. Like, well, I want to go straight to bed. That's what I should do. What I'll actually do is end up either planning more D&D or reading D&D stuff. Or
I think it's actually the best time to plan as a DM is
right after,
straight after your game,
where everything's fresh in your mind. It does make sense, right? But I end up always prepping beforehand. I give myself 2 to 3 hours beforehand, and that's usually my prep time.
I guess it's the same kind of philosophy as doing your homework on a Friday night, isn't it?
Yeah,
that kind of thing, right?
I was never very good at
that's
that.
me. That's exactly who I am. You got me pegged, Rob. It's true.
I'll be honest. I did frighteningly little homework when I was at school. I just didn't see the point.
You were one of those. You just got by.
Yeah.
Man.
I very rarely turned up at school. God.
I had solid grades. So I was like, why am I doing extra work at home? I go to school, I work hard there, I go home, I'll play video games or play football.
Like what the majority of people above the age of 18 do.
Exactly.
Work in life. Yeah.
I don't take it home with me. Although I have ended up weirdly, I have in the past taken work home with
nightmares. I still have nightmares about needing to do essays. Like to this day, I'm in my 30s and I still have dreams where I wake up from them. And I'm like, oh God, Mrs. Pinkerton's essay. Wait, no, that was a dream. That was
Oh
a dream.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
thank
yeah.
God. Oh, thank God.
I have those about the army. Like I'm still in. Like I wake up and
Yeah.
I wake up and I'm like I can see my like my old cupboard where all my uniform was kept
Oh wow.
and like I'd be like I have a fucking full on freak out and be like, oh God, I'm
Right.
back in. Oh God, I'm back in.
What have I
See,
done?
that's
And
much more
never,
legitimate than freaking
and
out
never,
about homework.
Yeah.
or I get that dreaded phone call because apparently like ex soldiers have like this thing whereby if we ever go to war, it's like you'll get called up, but apparently I've got another year until that sort of stops. That
Right.
Oh, is that what
possibility
they
ends
say?
completely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 43 is like the cutoff for reservists. But
Oh,
I'd
wow.
basically be, funnily enough, you know the we were talking about Starship Troopers just a minute ago.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Remember the scene with the drill sergeant in the parade square and they're like
Yep.
they're going for their basic training.
The knife throwing one.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. The guy's
yeah.
a real arsehole. Yeah, they're real.
Yeah. Yeah. Or he
That's
breaks the
basically
guy's arm.
what I would have to do if I got signed back up. I'd be like a drill instructor or something like
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah, so I'd work on
Oh,
like a
damn.
training
That
camp or something.
isn't that Clancy Brown who plays him? The
Yeah,
It
it
is,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is,
It is
yeah.
Clancy
Yeah, it
Brown.
is.
It's
It's a
quite.
great, it's a great film, Starship Troopers, man. It's a really
Yeah.
under. I mean, I know people that love it, absolutely love it,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people out there who I don't think really
Got it.
know, really got it. Yeah, got it or know about it because it's a fascist utopia.
Satire. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
fascist
Yeah,
utopia.
it's
They're living in a
satire.
fascist.
Satire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's satire, but it's a fascist utopia of
Yeah.
like what the Nazis would have wanted
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
their world
Perfect
to be like.
society
Exactly
to
it.
be
Their
like.
society to be like the whole thing about being a citizen, and all this kind of
I'm
stuff.
doing my part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I'm gonna have to
Like,
send you the advert for Helldivers too because it is
It's
literally
exactly
like
that. Perfect.
it's an advert taken from Starship Troopers. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
perfect.
and then like the harsh reality of them. And here's something really interesting, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, but for me, it was only recently that I came across this. There is a popular theory that the whole reason the bugs attack and invade is all because of that mismaneuver that Denise Richardson's character does when she's in the training. You know how like she accidentally
Yeah.
sends a rock off into the wrong direction? There's a
Yeah.
theory that that rock actually like hits the
bug
insect
planet.
the bug planet,
Yeah.
and they were like, they take it as an attack because it destroys millions of them or whatever. And they're like, oh my God, we need to go defend ourselves from these humans. And all because of Denise Richards trying to show off during basic training, during her training in the ship. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, that's exactly it. And then if you think about it, like, sure, the bugs are massive and they're all getting slaughtered to it, but ultimately with the whole mind control thing, it's terrifying. They're showing we're the bad guys, like the humans are the bad guys in this situation. But it's incredible. And it sounds like it would be a super fun video game. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a really fun video game. They give you all these orbital bombardments so you can cool down, and which is like how you take out this huge like carpet of enemies coming towards you. So you throw a little
you
like
can detonate nukes
markers
in that too, right?
Oh yeah. You can unlock. You get to the point where you're dropping like napalm explosions, and every planet's different. So there's different environments. You could be there in a sandstorm with like no visibility, and suddenly like
that's cool.
You, or you're in like and there's a planet that's like it's but like Nam, and it's just all swamp and trees and robots. Like you can just see through the mist, just this barrage of red lasers coming at you and your squad. And you're like, oh no, we're all gonna die here. It's fine. It's terrible. It's terrifying in the best way because you are relatively fragile, but you just keep respawning in.
Oh right.
I gotta get you guys onto airsoft. I think you'd fucking love it.
Oh, yeah, God. I probably would. Yeah.
See, that's the thing.
So
I need more
much
time
fun.
in my life, guys. This is in order to play all of this. I just need more time.
This is the thing, isn't it? I've got literally like we haven't been for a good. I'd probably say we haven't been for about a year actually. Me and my mates. We used to make a big point of it going every month, but it was like it got a little bit sort of. Because there's a lot of guys that go to airsoft that just want to wear all the gear and walk around.
Yeah.
Whereas it was like I go, I'm like in the bushes. I've got all the makeup on. I'm like
right.
Like,
people get super incredibly serious about it.
Become war, you know.
War never changes.
Yeah, it's so sick.
Nice.
So badass.
Nice.
I love it.
I do like those ghillie suits that I see the snipers for airsoft have. They look impressive.
They're really cool.
Jesus.
Sniping
It's so
sounds great,
intense.
but it's boring.
Boring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're sitting there
Yeah, you
most of
could
the
put
time.
together like a really fun-looking 10-minute clip. What's actually happened is you've sat in
Yeah.
a bush for 10 hours.
And every airsoft sniper will tell you the same. They start on one side and then they end up just like on their own side because they just want to shoot everybody because they just can't because
Yeah.
basically
Oh,
'cause you get
wow.
like armbands for each side that you're on, and if you're sniping in the distance and you just keep seeing your own guys, you're
Yeah.
just like
You eventually get bored.
I'm
You're
just
like,
gonna
I
fucking
want to
shoot
do
them.
something.
I was gonna shoot
Yeah.
them. I just shoot them like that because I'm
Oh
just
my
sat here
god.
in the dirt. There's a spider crawling up my ass. You know, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
Oh my god. And you have to stay
spend most
perfectly
of this.
still.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
exactly,
Oh my
exactly.
gosh.
So
Well,
we don't have Damien for any news this week. So
it's
what we
true. It's sad.
James,
I'm
have you been
filling
called
in.
back up?
I've
Yeah.
been called back up. So
Yeah.
yeah, we do have some news. So
Oh right, this is a D&D podcast. I always
this is a
forget.
Yeah.
D&D podcast. We have some D&D news.
Yeah.
I'll kick off with we got some D&D, we've got some Pathfinder, and we've got
Nice.
Oh, sweet.
TTRPG
a bit of
podcast.
Marvel,
Yes.
Vampire the Masquerade, and Marvel Multiverse as well.
Ooh.
Okay,
So
sweet.
Okay.
so there is a new release on D&D Beyond. So it is a module that's already sort of come out already, and I know it's quite popular in the community. I know some of our DMs were big fans of it, but the Humblewood sort of
Mm-hmm.
campaign setting, which is essentially cute woodland creatures fantasy. It's got sort of, from what I can see, I don't know if either of you have played the board game Root.
Yes,
And
that's exactly what it reminds me of.
this may well predate that, but it reminds me of that quite a lot.
I don't think so. I remember when Humblewood was on Kickstarter, and I think I had Root from before that. So this
Yeah.
is more
Yeah,
Root
so
like. But I think cute woodland creatures has been a thing for a very long time. So
yeah. So you get
yeah,
to adventure as birds and other woodland critters, and mystery behind.
foxes.
Yeah, there's a mystery
Ooh.
behind forest fires, bandit coalition, or something even more
Yeah.
nefarious. But yeah, it
Badgers.
badgers. I think. Well, to be fair,
Dwarven
weirdly,
knights.
there is a Root RPG all by itself now.
Is there really?
Yeah,
Oh my
there is.
god,
Yeah.
how wild. Do you know that?
But
Right.
Okay, so Root, the board game itself, I played it. I have it. I own it, but I've only played it twice, and I have to say, it is the most Game of Thrones-esque experience. You think it's going to be all cutesy and fancy, and because it's got these cute little animals and the beautiful little kind of kid-like looking art, and then
yeah,
it's like deep politics,
yeah,
like
Wow, okay.
the fact that one faction has been trying to preserve this section of the forest forever, and now you're trying to subterfuge them and invade them, and you have spies in their ranks, and I'm like, oh my god,
yeah.
this is intense.
They keep releasing expansions for it.
Right.
There's
Yep.
so many more
Yep.
animals for it now. Root is
Oh god.
Root is a great game. I would 100% recommend that. So
Yeah.
the book though will come with 3 new backgrounds, 7 new feats, 10 playable races, 10 new spells, 4 new subclasses,
Jesus.
20 new magic items, and 50 new monsters. All which will be included in the D&D Beyond Encounters tool, and also 11 maps for use with the D&D Beyond maps. So I've not actually played any of the Humblewood stuff, so I'm not sure what those maps will be, but I would assume they will be sort of important areas of Humblewood within the story or the game scenarios that they've set out. So that's really cool.
Honestly,
That's
this
quite a
is
lot.
isn't this the, oh god, what's his name? I follow him on YouTube. I think this is his setting. It's not Mr. Rex. One of the famous D&D YouTubers of the dozens that there are, but I think this was his Kickstarter. And my god, Hit Point Press is the actual name of the publication, but
Yes, it is Hit Point Press, yeah.
what are our opinions on all these third-party publications that have been cropping up in D&D Beyond, like suddenly supported Dungeons of Drakkenheim,
Yeah.
Humblewood,
Good.
like these are the popular ones. These are the ones
Yeah.
that really got good backing.
Yeah, they are. It just gives me hope that one day maybe I'll get my stuff on there.
There you go. There you go. Got to start a
yeah.
Kickstarter. That's all.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
I've been working on on an adventure book. I think I put too much detail in it. I think I want. I try to put what I would want in a book in it, and I don't know if necessarily that's what everyone else will want, but who knows?
Right. Right. Who
Mm.
knows?
But
You gotta play test it.
Yeah,
Gotta send it to some
that's
friends.
it.
Gotta
When
have
it's
an
done,
initial run with Rolldark.
when it's done, I will do. Well, I've already ran
Yeah.
the campaign that it's based on for Rolldark.
Right.
And annoyingly, I have further news later on in the news
Oh.
that's sort of stolen part of the idea for it. So that's a bit of a
Oh,
bugger.
okay.
But
Uh-oh.
not massively. Not massively. It's fine. Mine's on a
Mhm.
smaller scale than this one. But yeah, it's that's interesting. So yes, that is that's the Humblewood stuff.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, so quite big news. Pathfinder has um, paired itself with um, Michael Gelfie Studios, who does tabletop audio stuff, music and
What?
soundscapes.
Oh wow, okay.
So they've teamed up with him to bring music and soundscapes to the world of Galarian, which
Ooh.
is their setting for Pathfinder. And so he is going to be creating a range of soundtrack albums for their upcoming adventure paths, starting with Season
Mm.
of Ghosts. So each adventure path is going to have an accompanying soundtrack,
I
which I
love
think
Michael Gelfie Studios.
is awesome. Yeah, he is a very
I use
talented.
their stuff so
Yeah.
much. I subscribe to his Patreon so I'd have access to more. It's
Well, I think
so
they will still
good.
be available direct, so they're going to be available through Paizo and
Right.
also through his
His subbers or his
yeah,
subscribers,
directly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Whew. Phew.
So you can. So they have released a trailer for Seasons of the Ghosts, and the music is in that. So that's available on YouTube under the title Pathfinder Adventure Pass
Love it.
Season of Ghosts trailer. Sorry.
Yeah. I know you guys use music in your games relatively
Yeah.
frequently, right?
Yep,
Right?
Yes. Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Rob, I
Yes.
know you play it when we're at Rolldark Fest, so yeah, I know
Mhm.
you immerse. I sometimes every now and then I'll jump in a friend's game, and if there's not a decent bit of music running through it, I tend to tune out. I don't know why, but it that makes such a big difference for me is the music. And I even if it's an online game, I'll just throw up another tab on my browser and just put up some battle music on YouTube or something if I need to,
I think you got
or
to,
intrigue music.
yeah, you got to set the scene. I mean, you got to make it like
Yeah.
cool. I remember the first time that we played Curse of Strahd with my brother James as the DM, and he lit loads of candles, and it was like
Mm,
all the windows were closed, and the curtains were drawn, and the lights were down low, and the
yeah.
music was like really airy, and yeah, it was just really interesting.
Yeah. See, that I would love for sure. Like it's Curse of Strahd. You have to set that mood, you know?
Yeah, you definitely do. You definitely do. It's so important. I find it odd that some people will play like that. I have been in some games before that like the DM is like just not done any voices, not tried
Mm,
to do any voices, not tried to like, differentiate between which NPC you're talking to. And you're like, well, who am I talking to? Is that
right.
is that Jonathan, the stable hand, or is that
Yeah, right,
or is
right.
that Martha, the barkeep? And I'm like, who am I talking to?
Yeah,
It's
exactly. So
like
how can you
it's
tell?
so like yeah. Sometimes you do find that. So yeah, I think it's really important that you have music in your games.
Yeah.
It's so
Just
important.
part of the many things somebody can do to help set the scene. And I don't think you need
Mm,
everything per se. Like you don't need to go full out if you're trying to build an immersive scenario. Some people are just happy to be a little bit more of a casual player, you know, beer and pretzels sort of thing, and just, you know, okay, you hit and whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to tell a story, and at least in the games that we run for Rolldark, I know, and I know we all do this, and I'm sure most of our Rolldark GMs do. Like there are some elements where you do want to make it as immersive as you can, and as long as you have two to three things out of the many tools that you could use, I feel like you've got enough going. So if it's music and atmosphere, right? If you're running an in-person game, like you said, Rob, lower the lights, keep it a little spooky if it's that kind of game, or set the mood appropriately. At least you have
mm,
that covered, and you don't necessarily have to do voices, but you can at least be specific and differentiate. Or, you know, if instead of music and sound effects and atmosphere, you have, say, a really descriptive sections of writing, like if they're walking towards something they've never seen before, and you've actually taken the time to write something out, you can pull them in into the narrative like that. I feel like
absolutely.
those things really help, you know.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Actually, what I've started doing for games that I run in person if I can. So to be fair, so far this has mostly just been at
Mm,
my house with my friends. Where when we've done board game nights, I will get some sort of themed ambience from YouTube, and they do usually if you can find like a video. So we played a game of Risk, and I had the ambience for like a World War One command
Brilliant.
Oh,
center,
cool.
and, like
Nice.
I had a project that on one of the walls, so it looked like
Oh,
it
I
Oh,
led
love
that's
into
that.
cool.
this.
I love
That's
that.
really cool.
So we had that going in the background, and then for D&D, I've got various ones that I want to use in the future as well. That I can project onto like a plain white wall and just have
The
that doing audio.
the Witcher campsite works quite well as well, doesn't it?
Oh,
You get like the fire going and stuff.
oh, I
Yeah,
love that
Yeah.
one.
yeah, that's
Anything
cool.
Witcher for me, I'm sold.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
perfect.
that's really
That's
cool.
really, really
Well,
good.
but yeah, I'm Michael Gelfi Studios with partnering with Paizo. That's every time I hear something new that Pathfinder's doing, I get really jealous, and I'm like, God, it's another reason for me to try and get into this system. I just need more time.
Yeah, yeah. Learning new systems is tough. Oh, sorry, got breath stuck there.
You're so excited about
It's
this
fine.
next piece of news.
I've hit 30 years of age, and I've not learned to breathe properly yet. So
You'll figure it out, mate.
Well,
You'll
good.
figure it out.
I'm sure. I'm sure Rob will edit that out, right, Rob?
Yeah. No.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course you will.
Just writing down the time signature now. Oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Oh, that's a nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice pen. Your coffee mug
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah. Cheers.
What else we got?
So we've got a couple of. So there have been some freebies released this week, and one in particular I really want to talk about. So I'll come to that last. But there is some interesting stuff. So let's do the first. So there is a adventure called Chrono Slip Primer available on Drive-Thru RPG that looks sick. So the description I'll read to you. It's not too long. So a little more than 8 years ago, the realm's champions nearly stopped the cataclysm, saving the lands, but locking its peoples into an endless cycle of repeating the same 3 days over and over again. Now more than 1,000 times. Slowly, gradually, people are breaking free of the curse, becoming runed folk with an awareness of the slip. Now that you know the nature of what's befallen the world, it falls upon you to break the cycle. So, you are stuck in this world where most people are just repeating the same 3 days over and over again, but you won't be.
Weird.
Which I think
that is a
really
cool concept.
And annoyingly,
you think about the implications.
Annoyingly, what I was doing for mine, for my adventure, was that you are stuck in a time loop with a god hunting you the entire.
It's like Groundhog Day the RPG, except that you're out of it.
Yeah.
You're the one just getting to see people repeating their patterns.
Brilliant.
So how much influence do you have? Like, does everything you do reset on the third day? Like, if the people you kill or the monsters respawn, or like what? How does that work?
I don't know.
Oh, it's fascinating.
Exactly, but it is entirely free to check out.
What's it called again?
If that sounds interesting, Chrono Slip Primer from Storytelling Collective.
Cool. Check that out.
Very cool. Okay.
The next free thing that I found on Drive-Thru RPG is the Deal Hunters Toolkit. So it's a smaller sort of module, but it is essentially a help for shopping sessions, basically. So new interesting magic items, then sort of a toolkit for players who love role-playing as merchants and haggling for the best deals. So I realised I moaned about this the other week. Players wanted to haggle for about everything. But if your players really love that and you want to make it the best experience possible, then
give the people what they want.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll download this and see if there's any ways that I can improve the shopping sessions that I run, because my players love a shopping session. They're like, "Oh, can we go to the markets this session?" Yeah, of course we can. Like once a campaign, one of the 8 sessions or whatever will be, well, let's go to the shops and buy some new magic items to help us with whatever we need to do
and haggle your life away.
Yeah,
that just happened with me in the Ethereum group on Monday. Shout out, guys. They were they were back in the sort of little hub that they have. They're kind of isolated. They're not in like a major city or anything at the moment, but they still wanted to sort of start buying and selling some stuff. And I was like, well, you're in the Feywild. Gold here and treasure in general is a little hard to sort of quantify in terms of value, but sure, we'll take a look and maybe they can make some. And then very slowly it just became a full-on shopping episode, and I was like, okay, yeah, so if you trade in your golden Fomorian toe and these 3 potions that you found along with this now defunct lantern of giant tracking, you can get a discount on the fancy stick that you saw 3 sessions, 4 sessions, 5 sessions ago that you really wanted to buy. All right, we're here. But they loved it. They had a good time. So I think so.
Right.
My tale from the table sort of incorporates a bit of this. Yeah, interesting trading stuff. So, finally, the final sort of free item is on Dungeon Masters Guild, and it is Curse of Strahd Rebitten, Improved Nightmares. So, it is a mini supplement for Curse of Strahd and Van Richter's Guide to Ravenloft campaigns. So, it contains rules for every time your players take a long rest and sleep, they can/will experience terrifying and exhausting nightmares.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
The supplement explains how the mechanics work and give examples of nightmares for you to adapt into your campaign. And that is also free, and it sounds really cool. I sort of wish I had it from the start of my Strahd campaign, because I think nightmares are a very cool thing to incorporate into games. It adds something to taking rests that's different and interesting. It doesn't sort of
James,
lend
this
it
is
to
a
being
series.
this boring.
There's like a whole series of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like there's the dinner, there's various other ones. Improved Beginning, Improved Death House, Improved Jenny Green Teeth,
Dinner with
Improved
Strahd.
Nightmares, Improved Session 0, Improved Zombies, Liar's Dice. What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, there's a bunch.
The Nightmares one was just the one that I found
yours is specifically Nightmares.
Yeah, there is.
Right, okay, I gotta find that one.
Yeah, but you're correct. There is a series, and a lot of them do look interesting. There's a Festival of True Love, Valentine's Day supplement for it. I realize we're a little late on that, but hey,
doesn't matter. I love this idea, and yeah, I'm gonna totally look at it. Also, I'm really curious to see how many Curse of Strahd supporting materials / remade or remakes or republished stuff will have in it. So we have already revamped, we have rebitten. We're going to go down the Matrix path of doing like Reloaded, Resurrection.
Resurrected.
Very soon.
Yeah, right.
Revolutions. This is Curse of Strahd Revolutions. I'm very excited. Cool.
Is it is it you, JC, or a different DM who's running a Curse of Strahd steampunk game?
It was Jacob.
Now Chris.
It
right?
was Jacob.
Yeah, Chris is doing one now. Yeah. Jacob originally started it, and then Chris is taken over.
Nice.
He's taken over. Yeah, that sounds like a really interesting setting. I wonder if there's like a source book for that.
I know some really nice steampunk novels that you could probably buy. By this amazing.
Well,
amazing
I've bought yours, Rob,
right.
so.
I was like, what's going on here? Why is Rob doing this? Oh, right.
Have you read it? No.
Yeah, they're great. I love that part with the punk and the steam. Yeah, that was a great part.
That's a really good part. That's probably my favorite bit, actually. Steamy punkness of it. Yeah.
I prefer the punky steaminess of it.
I mean, that's
fine.
It's a very niche opinion there.
Fair enough. I'd probably cringe if I read it now, I think.
I've not read an actual book for ages. I just listen to audiobooks now. That's the problem. Nice. I need to go on. I read when I go on holiday, and I've not been on like a beach holiday for so long.
Get on a beach holiday.
Pre-COVID,
me too, man.
Gotta get on that.
Well before then.
2018, I think was the last holiday I went on.
Yeah. Fingers crossed this
Greece.
year. Me and Jade are going to go somewhere. Oh, nice. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going to Greece. I like the history.
Greece is great. Lindos is nice. I went to Lindos. That's lovely.
Okay. Lovely.
Yeah, really, really pretty place.
Yeah.
There's so many like amazing islands. We stayed at Rhodes and we got the ferry across to all these other islands. It was just the best.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I'm overdue for a little international travel. And last new place I was in Finland last year, which was fun, but it was brief. So
You need to find a way to stop off somewhere nice and sunny on the way to a
There you
Rolldark
go.
fest or
Yeah.
something,
True.
JC.
It's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Field trip, Rob. Get us.
Yeah. Get your field trip. Where
Rolldark
can we
field
go?
trip.
Antarctica? That could be cool.
Yeah,
We
if I hear
can
it's
find a
cheap.
That
site.
would be cool.
Let's look for a science research station in Antarctica.
Oh, let's do a
And we'll
thing
stay there.
themed
Yeah.
retreat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be
Imagine
awesome.
that. That would be.
Okay.
I
Look,
mean, whoever's like in Antarctica right now listening to our podcast, according to our
that one
Is
listener
that
we've
part of our
got there.
metrics? We got an Antarctica listener.
we have nobody in Antarctica.
Oh,
Yeah.
bummer.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
I
I'll
doubt they
I'll
have
go through the
metrics.
list. I'll go through the list in a minute because we've got some
Okay.
interesting places.
Can we push adverts to Antarctica?
Yeah,
Is that a specific thing?
Can we buy Facebook ad space in Antarctica?
Definitely try. Yeah.
If we could
Give it a
just
go.
keep posting on the Royal Antarctic Survey Facebook page.
Would you
Hire
go
us.
to Antarctica if you were given the opportunity?
Yes.
Yeah, it's on my
Yes,
bucket list.
I would
I
go.
want to go to
I would
Antarctica
be
so
I would
badly.
need to do a lot more training and preparing than I have right now. But I would love to.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
If I had that
saving
opportunity, I
money
would
as well.
train
It's like
for
7
the
or 8
year.
grand.
And then go. Even if it's just a visit and it's not like a survival situation, I'd still want to prep myself for it. And
oh no, you can do trips and visits to it. You can either get a cruise, and it goes from like Argentina, I think, down through the Falklands to Antarctica, and that's about 7 or 8 grand.
Don't talk to me about the Falklands
long
right now.
cruise.
We're gonna have a tough.
Yeah,
podcast.
it's like 2-3 weeks. Yeah. So this is anyway. Welcome to Antarctic Explorers. So yes, it's anywhere between 7 and 8 if you're doing it very like the cheapest I could find it, and it can go up to like 12, 13k GBP. Or you can fly in for the day, and that's maybe 3,000, and you fly in and fly out, but you can only go at certain times of the year
for the
both of them.
day.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
zoom
Fucking
in,
hell.
see some ice, go back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe stay there one night.
South Pole's polar bear. No, South Pole is penguins.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
Polar bears in New York.
Penguins, yeah.
Yeah. So
Polar
we got
bears are at the top,
orcas, penguins.
You got seals, orcas, penguins.
Blue-footed
God, that'd be
boobies.
crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe?
No, it's I've applied for
roughest
jobs.
sea on Earth.
Is that what they say? Jesus.
Yeah, you got the what's the strait called? Drake? Is it the Drake Passage? I think it's the Drake Passage, and I've seen the videos from people on the cruise, and I was like,
wow.
Yeah, it's horrendous.
Oh, I'd be so seasick.
It's horrendous.
I want to do it.
You want a challenge?
It'd be a friggin' ordeal, man.
Yeah.
Because you're literally
that's an
in the
adventure.
middle of nowhere, like so remote. It's you might as well be on another fucking planet.
Yeah.
Well, me and my brother are in a race to hit all 7
part.
continents, and I have a feeling that Antarctica is going to be the last one that either of us do. So we've both visited the same number of continents now. I think weirdly, Asia is a place that neither of us have
Really.
been. Despite him living in Australia for 4 years now,
Not been to Vietnam or Thailand or.
No, I want to go to Vietnam or Thailand, but no, I've not managed to go yet.
No.
I had friends who lived out in China as well, so I wouldn't mind going there. I wouldn't mind going to Japan.
I would like to go to
just...
China, but I don't like the fact that they eat dogs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I know that people
is that relatively common? I thought that was more of a depends on where you go situation.
It's the whole wet market thing. That I can't get behind it. I just think it's just a bit too far in one direction in terms of like. I just feel like there's a lot of stray dogs there. I mean, there's a lot of stray dogs everywhere that you go outside of the UK, pretty much in the Western world. There's loads, but in terms of like animal rights and things, it's just I think China's like.
I know South Korea just finally outlawed eating dog meat. I believe I heard that news break recently. But hey, speaking of eating things, and back to Antarctica really quick, have you guys seen the test footage of Guillermo del Toro's new unmade series? I think he was trying to work on at the Mountains of Madness thing, and he released like a test clip, like 25 seconds or so, of an explorer in a cave in Antarctica getting basically attacked by a very Lovecraftian-esque, eldritch creature.
I want him to make that
He
thing
would be
so
great
bad.
for it. Like that. He was the
He's the only
director that I
one.
would trust to do it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I like the Cabinet of
Mm-hmm.
Curiosities adapted some
Yep.
Lovecraft's
Yep.
stories. I realized he wasn't directing all
No,
of
but
them.
he was a
And there was
producer on it,
one
and he like, you know, okayed the
he was
projects and
produced.
stuff.
Yeah.
The Ben Barnes one is like really screwed up. Wow, that one really got me
Yeah.
good.
There was a lot of mess up. The one with Rupert Grint is adapted from a Lovecraft story, but it's nothing like the actual
I'm
book.
not surprised.
I think it's a really good story. I think what they filmed was really good, and I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't the same as the story of the books.
I'm one of the few people that feel like I enjoyed Lovecraft Country, which was a very very brief
Lovecraft
thing,
Country.
but it was very fun while it lasted.
Yeah, that's not coming back.
Nope. Yeah. Well, hey, that news broke after I enjoyed it, so I could still say I had a good time watching it.
Yeah. So
but yeah, that's not coming
back. Well, talking of vampires, then I
totally
will, as I went from Strahd. I will.
Perfect segue.
Horror. Vampire the Masquerade has revealed a source book called Bloodstained Love, just released in time for Valentine's Day. So it is a source book. Romance-focused content arrives in a hardcover book and PDF for V5. 6 characters and story concepts designed for romantic gameplay. Features advice, tools, and new merits and powers for kindred love stories.
Interesting.
So I've not really played much Vampire the Masquerade, but it seems like they're like sort of romance and vampires are very sort of intertwined
hand-in-hand
and have always been
for sure. Right.
Yeah, like even Strahd, his backstory's all romance and doomed love themed, isn't it? Really,
very.
Is that a spoiler? I've been listening to I Strahd.
Oh, you
we
got to go back and add a spoiler warning before that. Oh man. But yes, I think it's very inspired by the Francis Ford Coppola's take on Dracula. Which it was Coppola, wasn't it? Who did the early 90s version?
Did the 90s version,
yeah. Where it was all the inspiration of Mina and her being the reincarnated love interest, that kind of thing. So yeah, massive spoiler warnings for sure. But that's Strahd is based off of Dracula. If that's a spoiler for some people, then well, you don't know what you're in for.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
But totally. It's a I've really wanted to get into Vampire the Masquerade much more, and just got to find a good group and time again. The hole in my schedule.
There's correct me if I'm wrong, but there's Vampire the Masquerade. There is a werewolf game made by the same company. Are they based in the same world?
Yes, it's all the same world.
So you can.
That's
play
apparently the
them all
big
together.
draw of this world is that the insane amount of politics. Like, yes, the role play is fine, but like the lore, or not the politics specifically, but like the actual lore of the world itself and how deep this lore goes back into the history of the product, especially with Masquerade, right? And the fact that the Masquerade is a concept in this world, it's basically the prime directive of these games to not reveal who you are to the general public. And now that has been broken, there's like a new season. I've been hearing this kind of around, even though I'm not really into the world too much. But apparently there's an order now that has arisen in order to reassert this Masquerade, and there's humans hunting the vampires at this point now because they're too well known, stuff like this. So it sounds fascinating. It's
because I can't really pinpoint
the World of
a
Darkness
system that I've heard of. The World of Darkness, right? That sort of gets that urban fantasy to the same degree. Because if there's like witches and covens and stuff as well, because I like a lot of some urban fantasy where there's werewolves and vampires and like warlocks and stuff in the modern day. But I'm yet to find a system that I really.
I'd give it a shot.
Like sort of encompasses everything that I want it to. So maybe
honestly, you know what I thought that would be for me? Candela Obscura. When that was announced and I started sort of getting the premise of it, I was so sold. Victorian-esque mystery and horror, but set in a fantasy world, but it was post-war, kind of with a light steampunkish vibe, and just all this just rich stuff. I was like, this is the perfect thing that I need to add in addition to like my typical high fantasy fix, right? Like this is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Urban investigation with eldritch elements that isn't too overtly Call of Cthulhu, but set with this
Yeah.
like alternate realm, just every beat. And then I just kept hearing the reviews about how bad the system was. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I guess you could adapt the world into a different system, but that's a lot of hard work for people with little
If
time.
the system's bad, then yeah.
Although back to World of Darkness, I have a feeling we're going to see a big uptick in Vampire the Masquerade players and in general World of Darkness players come the fall, because that's when Vampires the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, the video game,
Oh, the
comes
video
out.
game.
Yeah, and that
Comes
has
out.
been a
Yeah.
long-awaited fan favorite. When did that game originally come out? Bloodlines. That was like 2007, 9, something like that.
Yeah, quite a long time ago. I think they may have done a remastered version. I'm sure I've seen it on the PlayStation Store. It might be the old
there is.
one. But...
Gosh, let me just take a quick look.
I think for me to play
2004.
Vampire the Masquerade, I'd have to have it so that you would, because there's a lot going on in terms of like lore and stuff, which is excellent and amazing. But I would really want to play it in a very realistic kind of way, like in a way that is like that like as in like the vampires keep themselves completely secret to humanity, and when you become a vampire, you have no knowledge of any of the history of vampires. You don't know where they're from, but very much like in if you've read Anne Rice's books,
Right,
like that,
right.
like
I
that.
think
Like
Rob,
you have to slowly discover it all.
I'm
That'd be
pretty
really cool.
sure that's exactly how it is.
Is it?
Granted, I think in the difference of the Anne Rice novels, from what I understand, and please, shout at me and correct me hardcore if I'm wrong on the Discord. From my understanding, the vampires know their world very well, but humans don't. So when you get converted, you start learning about the world, but through the lens of the coven and the established rules that they have, and the deep sort of familial different families and connections and guilds that they have, versus where the Anne Rice novels, it's like you're kind of on your own unless you have a good mentor / person who turned you, right? As in Lestat and all that. So
Matthias.
but still, that being said, it I think the general premise of it is, not many people are aware of their existence. It's not like they all know about it. And then when you get turned, this is a whole new world for you, which you slowly explore. I know Bloodlines basically started that way.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because I used to watch Let's Plays, like comedic Let's Plays of Bloodlines by one particular creator who used to do the anime voiceover, or the fake dub of Yu-Gi-Oh, the series, and it was very, very funny to watch. But I never actually played the game, so yeah, I'd be excited for it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Anything else, James?
Okay. No, I think that is me all news out.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So, Tales from the Tables. What have we got?
I'll jump in with ours. We have one from Harry, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
Let's pull that one up. So, in his own words, Harry's obviously one of our DMs. Rob, what's the game called that he's currently running?
It depends which one he's referencing. So
right.
I know he's got a few private games on the go, but he's got Model Citizens, which he's doing.
Nice.
That's on a Friday night.
Okay.
And he's also doing City Pulse, I believe it's called.
This one sounds...
which is on a Thursday or a Wednesday. It might be a Thursday. Let me just quickly check.
Okay. I'm actually not sure. It doesn't say exactly which one, but it still sounds super interesting. So yeah, here we go. In his own words, I basically changed the entire focus of a story because of a player's character concept. I had originally planned for the group to be transporting the artifact, the Book of the Damned, on a ship, then to have the ship destroyed and the pages of the book scattered for them to find. One of the players introduced themselves as a Child of Wrath, which they pitched as their character's official title. As soon as they said that, I changed the story to revolve around a different artifact called the Shards of Sin, which got the whole group super excited when they found out what they were transporting, and worked out for the better. The Child of Wrath character spent the beginning getting the box open to obtain the Shard of Wrath, which led to the group which led to group conflict and them fighting each other, which then led to the ship blowing up and scattering the shards for them to find. So I didn't actually have anything to do, or I didn't have to do anything rather, to kickstart the journey. Then they asked me afterwards if any of the story they did was actually meant to happen, because the whole story of finding the scattered shards seemed like such an accident.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's when you answer no, but we're going with it because it seems like that's what you want to.
Or you do what I do, and I'm like, yeah, totally. I've
100%.
all of it written down, so much that you didn't see. You just didn't go in the right direction. What a shame.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, the problem I have is they'll go to a shop or something will happen. They'll be like, so I'll rattle off some magic items for them and tell you the shop inventory. And they'll be like, what was that second item again? I was like, I've not written it down. I've just come up with that off the dome. So
that
let me...
actually just reminded me. I came up with a person's name yesterday. They were a group was fighting some druids, and one of them decided to spare the druid and was like, "What was your name?" And they gave their name, and he's like, "Well, I will remember that name, and you shall be spared, but you owe me a favor. Go." And I'm like, "Cool." And I was like, "I got to write that name down." Never did. No idea what I said. No idea. I hope they did.
I do it all the time. If I go for like months between games and stuff, there's like characters that that have just like disappeared, and they're like, so what's happened to that? Or was it? They were like, what's happened to that? The captain of that ship that cut off the Kraken's head and threw it to us and was like, "Here's your Kraken." And I was like, who?
Who? That sounds familiar.
Oh yeah, shit.
That's when you got to pull the pro DM move, and you're
gone.
like,
she's gone.
well, you can roll an intelligence check to try and remember, or you can get inspiration if you have it in your notes.
Perfect. Yeah, right.
Oh, actually, I do remember the name now. Because I had in the back of my brain, I had just read an article about NFTs and how those are kind of dying out, and so I called her Nefty. That was it. Nefty. That's just what was in the back of my brain.
Write that shit down.
Yeah,
Write
I got to do that now. No. It's recorded in the podcast.
Listen.
I could just go back and do it.
Episode 27.
There we go.
There you go.
Do the Matt Mercer. Just listen to your own videos to make sure you have all the notes you need. Yeah. So that's super interesting. And to Harry's point, the players do get far more invested if they realize, even if it's not directly about their backstory, but it's one of the other players' backstories, I've found that they latch onto that far much more, or at least usually much more, especially if they know each other, or if they all feel like they're going to get a segment of the spotlight at some point, rather than just the generic backdrop of whatever story you're running. Even if the story is really good, right? Even if it's, say, Strahd, or say Descent into Avernus or something, even if there's all this deep lore about Zariel and her fall and this and that, it's still more interesting to them. It's like, the baker from the past that robbed your childhood home has shown up in hell, and they're like, oh, this is more important. Screw the quest to save Zariel. We need to focus on this right now.
They did a really good job in Vox Machina, didn't they?
Yeah,
TV show
perfect example
with Percy's backstory.
Yeah,
that was
perfect
really
example.
Good.
I haven't actually seen the series, but it would seem to me, or rather, I've seen Vox Machina on Amazon Prime. I haven't watched every episode of the original filming of their game, because hundreds of hours. But from it absolutely seems, to an outsider's perspective, like Matt had this glorious campaign about dragons ready to go, and then shelved it all to do the Briarwood arc and follow Percy's backstory for a while, and that ended up being one of the more compelling parts of the entire story. So
he just went with it, didn't he? He went with it was like, okay, where are the players most invested here?
Yep.
Oh, they want to discover more about this. So you just go in that direction and you build as you go. And it's that's how you DM. Basically.
Exactly. You have to learn to set your ego aside of the deep lore in the world that you've written, all to treat the players' ideas as nuggets of brilliance. That's what my old improv teacher used to say. Nuggets of brilliance. You seize on that, being like, that's brilliant. Even if you don't initially think so, you're like, great. And then you build on it, and you're like, well, the road there is full of peril, and when you get there, this part of your backstory that you wrote, here's it all fleshed out.
It's important to put your ego to one side. If your players and their characters have got stories that they want to do this, and it's especially if it's your game world and you're not running in Faerun or whatever, you don't have an established history, there's absolutely no reason to not take inspiration from what they're doing, because as a DM, massively helpful to me if you're like populating areas of the world where, all right, I might have drawn up a map for it and named some places, but there's no deep lore to it. Brilliant. You've given me some.
Often,
Great. I'll run with
I
that.
get asked, how do you retain players? Because like when we've had like new DMs join us and like, you know, they'll start with like 6 players, then it'll go down to 5, then it'll go down to 3, and then they'll lose everyone, and they're like, why have I left all my players? And it's like, I'm always like, the first question I ask them is, did you incorporate their backstories into the story that they wrote? And they'll go, and 9 times out of 10 they say no, and I'm like, that's why you lost them.
Yeah, and the other 10th time is not your fault.
Have them. Yeah, exactly. But you need to have them invested in the story that you're telling, and that is how you do it. That's literally how you do it.
Yeah, which sometimes is more difficult than others for a person who's just, you know, sat in their own universe, like you were saying, James, right? A light lore world where, you know, you might see them on a couple of quests, but that's it. It's easier to incorporate their backstories. They're like, yeah, okay, you're the son of this baron and you ran away from home. Let's have that baron show up, and that'll be the arc for the next couple of episodes or sessions. But with something like, say, Strahd again, because it's such a classic example, you're all trapped in a a gray, dreary domain such as Strahd's, and you know, this person has this whole backstory about how they're the Prince of Eberron, and you're like, that's cool. How do there are ways you just have to work a little bit harder, you know, have it come through, like you were saying, nightmares, dreams, visions, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
a little bit of it.
They
ended up in the Amber Temple looking for clues or something like that, things like that.
Yeah, so definitely is a good way of doing it.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, there are some backstories that are harder to work in than others, but yeah, it's very rarely impossible.
So yeah, you had a tale from the table too, James, right?
I did, from my Strahd game on Friday night.
Spoiler warning.
So spoiler warning. Yes, yeah. Spoilers from here on out, as I will be talking about. Well, yeah. I mean, let's assume they're spoilers for the next bit. So they just recently managed to find Mordenkainen and sort of awaken him from his mad mage persona and get his memories back and his mind right.
What? He was a mad mage?
What? Yeah. Yes, he was.
I didn't know that.
Rob.
Oh no!
Hey, we said spoiler warning. We're covered.
Yeah. I should like turn my own sound off. I'm just going to mute James in a minute. 1 second. There we go. Carry on, James. I can't hear you now.
So, in the lead up to the fight, Strahd had approached one of the players anyway, and had compelled them to, even once he was revealed to be Mordenkainen, to just continue to try and kill the wizard anyway, which caused some conflict within the party. But eventually, between them, they banished the player for a bit until the charm effect wore off, and he was then brought back. Very apologetic for what he'd done.
Hilarious.
But the session before, they'd all said they really wanted to like do a bit of shopping and like get some magic items to sort of prepare themselves as they were coming to the end. They only had like a couple more objectives before they were going to go after Strahd. So I was like, yeah, fine. Mordenkainen will probably have some magic items for you to do stuff with, and we'll offer you a trade. So I was like, well, they don't actually have that much gold on them. They've got like 100 gold pieces each, but this, like, even at level 8 in Barovia, because it's not really that much money knocking around, and you don't really pick up that many magic items. So I had a list of some pretty relatively powerful magical items, but Mordenkainen said that in exchange for them, he requested that they pledge their souls to him, so Strahd couldn't capture them and take them for himself. He says it was entirely altruistic.
Whoa.
I don't want your souls or your bodies to be used against the people of Barovia should you fail.
Okay.
So I will give you the help, but that means if you die, you can't be resurrected.
Whoa. That's deep. That is deep. What do they say?
So immediately they all look. They all agreed. No, no. All
Mm.
but one of them agreed. One of them was like, "No, my soul's too important to me. I don't need your magical trinkets, wizard." So following that, they went off to Berez. So spoilers for the village of Berez. But there's a hut in
Oh,
the
I wonder
center of the
whose that
village.
is.
Whose could
Hmm.
it be? Well, it's Baba Lysaga's.
What?
And her and her moving hut. So they get to the village, make their way through the entire place, and to get to the goats. And they've got a
Love the
druid with them.
goats.
So obviously the druid starts chatting with the goats. And he is a swarm keeper druid who has termites as
Oh,
his
gross.
insect.
Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, it's disgusting. But the guy who plays them, Will, is not the one who emails you, Rob, a different Will in the game. But he's some kind of biologist
Oh, in
or
real life.
entomologist, and so
Okay.
in real life, so he's got bare knowledge on actual things the bugs do and their capabilities.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that is actually cool. I retract my statement. Not gross.
It's very
Awesome.
cool. No, it's
Okay,
it's
gross
gross
and awesome.
It's gross and
how do
awesome.
you guys role play animals when they talk, when you do speak with animals? Because what I normally tend to do is I normally tend to make them talk,
Mhm.
but at the intelligence that they would be. So like food, person,
Right. Grass, please. Yeah, that kind of thing.
yeah, like that kind of thing. Yeah. What
It
do you guys
depends.
do? Do you have like actually like articulate language and?
Yeah, dogs will sort of be excitable and short bursts of speech. Cats will be
from Up,
slow.
like the dogs from Up when they got the
Right.
sound
Yeah,
collars on.
yeah. Oh, it's essentially Doug
Yeah.
from Up.
Doug
Yeah.
from Up, yeah.
Squirrel.
I treat them as NPCs. I actually do. Unless a situation particularly calls for a simplistic NPC's interaction, I will treat them as fully fleshed out thinking creatures, because I suppose I sort of suspend the disbelief in the way the spell works. Not to say that their intelligence level changes, but that you can kind of almost sink to their level, and that suddenly becomes its own isolated conversation with, they're certainly not discussing metaphysics or anything like that, but they're still capable of speech. And then I'll throw in a fun quirk depending on the creature. So a goat will try and ram you for no reason in the middle of the speech or the conversation, whatever it may be. I don't know.
Yeah. Cool stuff like that. Well, so anyway, obviously he sets his termites to releasing the goats after they say that, there's 9 of us in here, occasionally one of us will be taken away and they go to live on a farm, we think, to be free. The mistress releases us, so they're like, okay, that doesn't sound good. There's not a door on this pen, so they were like, okay, termites go, start eating through it. All the skulls atop the wall start screaming. Baba Lysagas comes in on a flying skull and just sits there, looking at them for a while.
Because she could mess them up.
She could mess them up, and spoiler warning for my story, she does.
They didn't do anything when she showed up. They didn't start attacking or talking.
No, they didn't. Weirdly, they were strangely reserved, which isn't really what I'm used to with any of my D&D groups. But they followed her back to her hut and decided to try and just talk to her and try and gain her allegiance. Of course, the player Luke, who went in to talk to them, immediately asked for help killing Strahd, which, if you know the history of Baba Lysaga, is the worst possible thing you could say to her, as she is obsessed with Strahd, having wet nursed him / babysat for him, and then
she's
been
Nanny
banished.
Lysaga or Lysaga.
Yeah, she's hyper focused and loves Strahd. So as soon as she said that, Hut stood up. Baba Lysaga, battle ensued. 2 players down. One of the magical items, though, that they had been given was this vial that let out smoke in a 30-foot radius, and you could use it. You could release the smoke 4 times, and it gave you teleportation points between those 4 clouds of smoke.
Okay.
So they got downed. They opened the flask once by Mordenkainen's house, hidden, and then in the middle of this fight, they were like, "Shit, two of us are down.
You got to bamf
We
back.
bow out and we go."
Wait, but
and
can
we
other
go.
people use the clouds to teleport as well?
Well, they don't know that yet.
Oh, okay, okay.
Sick.
Yeah, so they've had to dip. They did though go back because during the fight, the fighter found the gem in the hut. So they went back, regrouped, long rested, and then went back with a plan. By some absolute fluke, the druid summoned a dryad inside the hut, which immediately pulled the stone out first turn, passed both the saving throws for ripping up the floorboards and
Got the
the
gem
dexterity
out.
save
Cool.
to pull it out. So I got the gem
Wow.
out. It's at this point that Babalai Saga was sort of doing quite a bit of damage to them anyway. And so they decided that we've got the gem. That's really all we need. We don't need to kill this old lady.
You got what you need. Run.
So it was a crazy scene of them trying to like flee from this swamp because they can't use the teleportation thing again yet, and they don't want to waste another use having two clouds in the same space.
Sure. That's cool. It's compelling.
So but Babalai Saga is left alive, and they've told her that they're going to kill Strahd.
She'll
so
be
I
back.
Somehow.
She'll
be back.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's a very silly thing to do, isn't it?
Well, listen, usually at least when a party encounters her at that level, she is very powerful and she can be a problem for a lot of parties, especially she has a lot going for her too. Like, between that flying skull and the hut and everything else.
Yeah. They would have. To be fair, a third player would have gone down, but they managed to counterspell her finger of death.
Yeah, her big guns.
Because that's a lot of damage.
So I love Hags, man. Yeah. I know Babalai Saga doesn't strictly count as one, but it has that same setup, and I
hate them.
Oh yeah, we're back to it. We've come full circle.
I hate Hags. I can't stand them. They used to be so great. I used to love them, and now I'm just like,
they can't stand them. They're too much.
Just make it stop.
Well, they have
it stop.
They fill such an interesting niche in the D&D/TTRPG world and the fantasy setting in general, because they can be so versatile. They can be basically anything you want them to be. They can be a shopkeep. If
assholes.
You want to, they can be assholes. They can be, they can be important to a person's backstory. They can show you visions of stuff. You can basically MacGuffin a hag as much as you want to be whomever is important to the party at that moment, right? If they have the magic to do whatever, they can get the magic to do whatever. All it takes is the right price, and if you're willing to pay it. And there's always something to exploit. I think the best part of a hag is its weakness, right? What is that one thing, that one screw that you can twist that really gets them, can change the tables, can turn the tables around and flip the fortune? What is it? For Babalai Saga, it's threatening Strahd, or that might piss her off, but if you convince her that you have it in a good spot, or again, spoilers for this whole section of the book, you can threaten the cradle that she has in the house, right? Because that's how my very first players did it in the very first home game ever. They were getting their asses handed to them, and then they just went back inside the hut and carried out or threatened the illusion. And she pulled out. She stopped. She just stopped everything. She stopped concentrating on her spell. She stopped flying. She was like, no, not the baby. Go, take whatever you want and leave. She came back later, but they were ready for her by then.
Yeah.
And in a bit of a tale of the table as well, because I have this idea, and I don't think this home group listens to the podcast yet. I'll get them. Don't worry, Rob. I'll grab them. You'll get more stats in the States. But this group, I'm running Icewind Dale right now, and there is a coven of hags in the there's a coven of hags in the very end of that module. I'm not going to talk about them too much because my idea is more to use them. But spoilers for that section, the last chapter of Icewind Dale, there's a library in the city. Yeah, so spoiler warnings for the end of Icewind Dale, that very last chapter. there is a library, an arcane library, and it has a pair of rather interesting, sort of inoculate characters that appear. One of them is called Scrivenscry, and most players won't know exactly what he is, but he's an Arcanoloth, which is basically a fiend that's very interested in collecting magical items. And he's in this long lost library in this buried city in the ice, searching for a very, very particular tome. And it's kind of just like a little lore dump thing in the book. They don't really make too much of a big deal out of it. They say that, yeah, no, the book isn't really there. He just is searching in vain. And, your players can interact with him, and maybe they can even save his servant, who is this large awakened penguin named Kingsport, who also happens to be blind and is just kind of cutesy. His artwork is kind of well developed. He's got these like red stems coming out of his eyes, and players normally see how he's being forced to drag around a cart of books, and they're like, oh, we have to save Kingsport from this kind of jackass little fox/jackal thing that's walking around. So in mine, though, and speaking of integrating players' backstories, Arcanoloths, if you know the lore, they're dimensional travelers. They spend their whole long existences just collecting knowledge and books and scrolls and power, all in the hopes of eventually becoming a better and bigger fiend called an Ultraloth. And when one of my players has this backstory element, which we've fleshed out over the course of the campaign, that he basically is being hunted by his father, who's one of the preeminent archmages of the city of Silvery Moon. And his father has been sending bounty hunters after him because he wants to stop this, his son, from spoiling a plan, because his father is secretly a cultist, which is trying to bring back the big bad of the campaign.
Cool.
And obviously the player is trying to stop him, or stop the big bad. So he keeps sending bounty hunters. Every now and then a new bounty hunter will show up, rather sparsely. But when the Arcanoloth was meeting them and trading them, he was accepting gold and selling them a couple of scrolls. And then it's like, oh, it was a pleasure doing business with you all. What were your names? You're all wonderful. And he was like, oh, my name's Lucan Asterbright. And the other one goes, oh, Asterbright, not of Silvery Moon, perchance? And he's like, oh, you have heard of me. He has a French accent. It's great. And he says, yes, I don't really know where, I'm afraid. But, well, it was a pleasure doing business. And toodaloo. And he disappears, dimensionally travels elsewhere. Party decides to take a long rest in the same library. Cut to 6 hours later, because I rolled a few die to determine a couple of random elements, like how long it would take for him to get his contacts and such. And while they're sleeping, a retriever and a steel predator, two powerful constructs that are meant to capture and sometimes assassinate a target, but mostly capture targets and bring them back to people, creep their way into the rooms. Luckily, they had one person on watch who noticed one of them come in, but sort of I think he misunderstood the layout of the library, perhaps, and was guarding one hallway, thinking it was the only way in, and the spider just went around the other way and ambushed the party. And then the steel predator kind of followed, and they were doing okay. They were still low on spell slots and energy. They were really gunning for their long rests to get everything back, but they were doing fine until the steel predator caught up in like round 3. And when he got there, he has one ability called Stunning Roar, and it's a high DC, I think.
Yeah.
But
17,
it does, yeah, something along those lines. And it will stun you, and a save ends on subsequent turns, along with a bunch of damage. But the problem was not a one of them rolled above a 5 on their saving throws. Every single member of the party, including an NPC, failed their saving throws. And I just watched the whole party get stunned. It was like a Mind Flayer campaign all over again. I was like, ooh, another Mind Blast, like echoes of Mind Blast. And just watching them all fail, cascading failures, I was like, this is awful. I think the fight lasted maybe another 2 rounds after that. And the best part was the poor barbarian player, who's this lovely, lovely girl that we have in our group. She was so mad because she hadn't been able to do anything that fight, and she had kind of taken under her wing an NPC that they had met earlier on in that city, who is a doppelganger but kind of like not necessarily an evil doppelganger, just kind of a doppelganger that accompanied them until he could make a better situation out of it. But he had no loyalty to the party, so he was the only one who wasn't stunned because he was just outside of the range. Looked at the whole party stunned and massively hurt on the floor and walked away. He like literally just shut the door behind him as he ran away. And our barbarian player was like,
no.
I'm gonna fucking kill him. I'm gonna find that guy. I'm gonna hunt him down. I don't care what it takes. He is dead. It was hilarious. But then sure enough, the guy gets overwhelmed, the player character who has the bounty hunter after him. And I sort of had not prepped for, not exactly not prepped. I had considered the possibility, but I really didn't expect this to happen. And he was stunned, eventually knocked unconscious, and teleported away to a demiplane where the Arcanoloth is. And now I have the players on a scramble to try and figure out how they're going to rescue him, which is just, I'm so excited for this because my idea is they're going to go to the Hags in Icewind Dale. They're going to find this coven in this lost city, and they're going to have the book that Scriven Scry, the Arcanoloth, wants, and that's their only hope, is to enact a trade of some sort. Don't let him be sold back to his father. Trade him for the book, which is what that Arcanoloth really wants. But what price will the Hag extract? You know, and it just kind of cascades from there. It's one thing promised for another thing, promised for another thing. So excited for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was longer than I meant to go on.
No, it sounds sick.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
I'll let you guys know how it goes next week.
Yeah, definitely do. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, looking over the analytics of where we've been getting listeners from across the globe.
Yeah, the world.
Yeah. So
international.
Where do you guys think our most popular amount of listeners are coming from?
Got to be the UK, surely.
My friends, no. Yeah.
So
I would
maybe
assume
the US.
UK. Okay.
No.
So you're right. The UK is top with
Nice.
1,318
Nice.
listeners.
Wow.
Since we started in June. So
That's
downloads.
unique listens, right? 1,318. Wow.
Yeah, unique listeners. Yeah.
Woo-woo.
Unique listeners. So then, who do you think is second place?
I would say something like Australia. I know there's a lot of TTRPG hubbub in Australia.
I would say US.
James, what do you
I'd
think?
say the US.
US?
Hoping that maybe some of JC's players are listening.
Nope, nobody likes me.
Okay, well, James, you're correct. It was the United States.
Oh, shit.
However,
nice.
JC, you would be correct because Australia is third.
Ooh,
Nice.
all right.
Third, yeah.
Not know that, but yeah, cool.
Fourth place, yeah. So also United States 175, Australia 24. So a bit of a massive gap.
Yeah, big gap.
Who do you reckon's after Australia?
Canada?
Nope.
Brazil.
Why Brazil?
I don't know. It's a big place, isn't it?
Geographically,
it's a big place. It's a big place.
It's a big place.
I'm just taking a stab in
It's a
the
big
dark
place.
here. I'll say France.
Nope. It's
No.
Finland.
Wow,
Finland.
nice.
Okay.
Yeah, the Spectarium guys.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
That makes
Tell your
sense.
friends, Finland.
Okay, now the next one. In fact, the next I would say probably 1, 2, 3, 4 are quite interesting. So, what do you reckon? Who do you reckon? What country after Finland?
Germany?
Yeah, now that we're on the Spectarium track, I would have said Germany.
Nope.
Oh, to be fair, I've got a player in France from Spectarium, so I
there
thought
you go.
they'd be up there as well.
Tell them to listen.
It's not Germany.
What is it?
Greece.
Ooh,
What?
nice. Okay.
Wild.
With-
we got to hook up with them and get our vacation.
11.
our
11.
holiday.
Then
Oh,
then
I
who
did
do you
one
think
for a
comes
family out
after-
of Greece, didn't I?
Oh, that might
maybe
be
that's
why.
it.
Maybe
They're
it's
like,
those
"Oh,
guys.
James."
Maybe it's them. Maybe they're checking. Yeah, maybe they're just like fans.
They're-
Shout out
Cool.
to our fans.
Yeah. Shout out to the Greeks.
They're a lovely family.
Yep.
They were a lovely family.
All
This
Greek
is
families are lovely.
Sparta.
Yeah.
All
Right,
both
so what-
families are
So far we've got number 1, United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Number 2, United
US.
States. Number 3, Australia. Number 4, Finland. Number 5, Greece.
Number 6.
What do you reckon sixth?
Give us a hint, Rob.
Have we got
Give
have
us
we got a
hint.
weird 2 in New Zealand or something?
I can give you a hint. They used to be a part of the UK. Now they're
That's
not.
that's the 3/4 of the world. That doesn't help. India.
Oh, yeah, right. in the last 30 years.
Oh, ooh.
Maybe longer actually. No, 30 years. 30 years. They left the UK. They're no longer part of the UK. We
As
gave
of
back
how long?
gave them back to a sovereign nation
Right.
in the 1990s.
Malta. No.
No.
Just because you guys went there.
Oh, this is.
No.
I'm gonna say,
no
is
clue.
it Ireland?
No.
No, that's gonna
Gave Ireland back to Ireland in the 90s.
look. That's gonna piss a lot of people off. But
That's gonna annoy.
so I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But there's Northern Ireland,
It's
and
like
then
Wiggins
there's the Republic of Ireland. I am a little confused on the timeline of that.
It's Hong Kong.
Oh shit! Okay.
Oh, that makes sense. That's cool that we have listeners in Hong Kong. Shout out.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then it's Italy. Then it's the Netherlands.
Wow.
That's
The
8,
Netherlands.
and then Canada 9th,
Oh.
Germany 10th.
Oh, we gotta get Canada. Those are rookie numbers. We gotta pump those numbers up for Canada.
Special shout outs to the free people in Russia.
Yeah.
Hey Russia. Special shout out to the Russians. Who else we got? We got special shout out to the one person in India.
Yeah.
Nice.
See?
Yeah.
I was backing you up the whole time.
Yeah.
Indian
And
person.
then a very special shout out to the one person in Taiwan.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Extra special shout out.
Yeah, special out to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Rock on.
So cool. Great.
Thanks, listeners. We are international. That's wild.
Yeah,
that is
thank you
crazy.
so much, listeners. Yeah, and like we said in a few episodes before, we are keen to get to hear from you guys. So far we've not heard from any of our players or anyone who's listening to us. So yeah, please do reach out, because there's, we'd love to like share your tales from the tables as well. So
Indeed.
yeah, send answers on a postcard to PO Box 169. Send them to info@rolldark.co.uk, or if you're in our Discord, just drop us a message.
Yep,
that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd
Nice
be
one.
awesome. We'd love to see some stories from around the
totally.
world. That would be cool.
We totally would. It'd be really, really cool.
Yeah.
Right, guys. Well, thanks for listening again, and we will. Hopefully next week we'll have Damien back.
Yes.
So look forward to welcoming him back into the crew. And yeah,
And then hopefully,
take care, everyone.
And then hopefully the week after I'll be running a Call of Cthulhu for you.
Oh
We'll
yeah. I got to
oh,
make my
yeah.
character for that still. Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I need your character sheets. Damien,
Can I
you
be a
said you were
pilot?
listening.
Can I be a pilot? Can I be a pilot? Can I be a pilot?
Yeah.
in it? I think there's a pilot.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
you got to be a
Sweet.
pilot, Rob. You
Okay,
can't
great.
not be a pilot.
I want to be like a Biggles kind of character with like a twirly mustache.
Yes. Oh, the guy from from the Mummy.
1 second. It's set in
God.
1892, so I don't know if you can be.
Fuck. There's no planes.
Oh no, James.
I'll be a balloonist. I'll be a balloonist.
There you go, hot air balloonist.
Hot air balloonist.
What's that? What's Winston from the 1999 movie? Mummy movie. I can talk today.
Can I be someone who's obsessed with flight?
Yes.
Yeah, you could be
like a
one of the Wright
balloonist or
brothers.
someone.
There you go.
Yeah.
When he was like
Edgar.
a baby.
It was there in 1890. The British Army established a balloon section of the Royal Engineers.
Yeah, there you go. See, bosh. I'll be
Boom.
one of them. I'll be one of them.
You still get the mustache.
You
That's
still get the
important
mustache.
Yeah, exactly. Get to wear leather gloves with those big bits that come out like that.
What do you need, James? What character do you need for this?
Well, so you're going to be investigating the murder of some scientists. So you can be, I suppose, maybe there's some military interest as they worked on government projects before. And so as a captain in the Air Force or whatever, Rob, you've been drafted in to oversee the private detectives that have been hired to do this. And if Damien plays a scientist rather than the private detective, then he'll be a consultant. JC, if you're playing a detective, then you'll be the detective. And
so we are a team that's been brought together to solve a crime.
Right.
Yes.
Rather than like Damien being part of the people who were killed.
Well, Damien could be a scientist who has some relation to the people who were killed. I can work that in, and he can be consulting with his scientific knowledge on the case. Right. If there's things you guys wouldn't understand.
And I'll be an investigator.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah,
the detective.
I'll shut up because I realized I've just like told you what to do. So I'll just shut
up.
No. On the contrary, like this is what I want. We got a plan.
It's working the backstories into the adventure. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm hearing all of James's tales from the tables. I'm getting terrified. He's going to murder us.
I'll come up with a backstory. You fucking wait. The most intricate detailed backstory, and then be like, "There you go, James. Deal with that."
Just refer him to one of your novels, Rob, and just pass it up. Be like, "This is my backstory. Read it."
I'm Nicholas Nightingale.
There you go.
The balloonist entrepreneur who is obsessed with balloons. Joined the Royal Engineer and Ballooning Corps, even though I didn't need to because I come from a very wealthy background.
Ooh,
yeah, that kind of thing.
James, you're taking notes, right? Good.
Well, I've got a history
grandfather.
of aviation in the 1890s that I'll fucking learn for the game, I guess. I went to research Victorian societies, and now I'll research the balloon corps of the British.
Yeah,
the service.
The Northumberland 93rd Ballooneers.
They are called something like that.
Probably.
Hello there, old sport. Ha! You know, I've been up on a balloon before. Balloons are fine. You want to go up in an eye balloon? My balloon's the best. If you look at this balloon, you can see it's a nice red balloon. It's got trimming all around the sides. You'll notice here we got 3 double stitches. That's typical of the Royal Engineers.
If you could do it as the
it's all that helium and all that upper atmosphere air. It's just
made
like this.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Just breathe helium constantly.
He's actually, you know what's funny? He actually is starting to sound a little bit like Quagmire, which is based off of those old 30s and 40s pilots.
Yeah, isn't it?
And that's the kind of people that used to sound like that all the time. They sound like this.
Oh, it's on the radio. We gotta talk on the radio.
Yeah, that's right.
You could do that, or you could do the Armstrong and Miller Air Force pilots that talk like chavs.
Oh yeah, that's funny, yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, James.
Yeah, it should be good fun.
I'm looking forward to running it. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, until then, everyone.
Yes, indeed.
Cheerio for now, and we will. Well, you'll hear us next week.
Yeah, really stuck into that pilot voice there as well at the end. Cheerio for now.
Cheerio for now.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, Red Leader, you're too low. You're too low, Red Leader. Coming in. Okay, landing gear is down. Ah! I'm gonna go and fly flight sim now. Actually, I'm gonna go on the VAT sim network.
Big Red standing by.
I talked to ATC on my thing.
Yeah, I know. It's like wild.
I'm gonna do it with that voice and see if they.
All right, everybody.
Hello, this is Red Leader. It's coming in. Journal land of Whiskey Charlie Alpha Deco. Radio Chuck Harbour. They'll be like,
really good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. What?
All right.
Can you repeat your last, please? Over. I'll be like, no. Hello.
Wait, James. If we get Rob to do this voice on Helldivers the whole time, while
the whole time, yeah, that'd be great.
You're killing we got bugs coming in from our left flank. We gotta stop the bugs.
Guys, we're getting flanked.
The automatons are pushing.
That's impossible. How can we get flanked on our asses? Our asses face backwards. That doesn't make any sense. We got flanked on our sides, not our asses.
And suddenly our listener count goes down by 20.
God damn, I'm dead again.
Rock on.
What?
Fun times.
Right, cool. Sorry, guys. Right. On that note,
Cheerio.
bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.